For this assignment, you will be shading using a pen. You have to use a pen. Doesn't matter if it's a fancy pen or a normal pen. I've got the cheapest pen you can get right here. That's what I'm going to use. You'll also need to print out this paper. There should be a file on Canvas for you to do that. If you do not have a printer or are unable to print it, you've got a couple options. You can let me know and come to school and pick one up, or you can just take a regular piece of paper, a ruler, draw some rows on the top and the bottom of your ruler, and then about every inch, just make a mark. You need 6 boxes in each of these rows, and you can just divide them up and draw your own rows. Shouldn't take that long. And then just follow along with the video. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need one more. And let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows. So 6 boxes and 6 rows. All right, there's also an example on Canvas that you could just look at the screen, or you could print it out of what you'll be doing. It's a little bit pixelated. It says value scales using line. Now, value is how light or dark something is. So it's important to know that you don't have to have a pencil to do shading. You can shade just using a pen and lines, a bunch of lines. The more lines you put down, the darker things you're going to get. And that's kind of the theme for this assignment. The more you put down, the darker it gets. So in art, something with more value is darker. Something with less value is lighter. That doesn't mean it's not worth as much. It's just the terminology we use. Okay, we've got hatching on the first row. And if you drew yours, please write down those things just so you can remember. Hatching is just where you take a pen or a pencil, but remember, you're using a pen for this, and you're just putting down lines. And to make it more interesting, we're going to go different directions. As I go over, I'm going to put my lines closer and closer together so they appear to get darker and darker. Now you probably want to be careful about this and put less lines down that you think you need at first, so you can go back and add more if you need to go back and add more. You're using a pen though, so if you put down too many lines at first, you can't really erase. These lines are getting closer and closer together. By the time I get to the end here, I'm going to switch and go this way. It's pretty much lines right on top of each other because I want this last box to be black. And if I'm only going one direction, it's kind of like I just got to go back and forth over and over until it gets black. And guess what? If you just start to scribble on here, that's fine. Just make it nice and dark. Okay, and at this point, I'm going to squint my eyes. These are all looking pretty similar in value. Like they're all about the same darkness. Then it starts to get a little bit darker. But now I can go back and add some more lines to make this a step-by-step getting darker and darker from left to right. Oops. I want to keep these lines parallel to each other and not cross them. Now you can, if you want to make it really nice and neat, you can use a ruler to draw those lines. Okay, that's a little bit better. I could probably make these somewhat darker, but you get the idea. For cross hatching, you're doing straight lines again, but you're going to go back and add lines going a different direction. There's no limit to how many different directions you can go with your lines. Like I could go straight up and down, cross this way, and then add some diagonals. But simply put, cross hatching is doing lines one direction and then another on top of them. And what's the theme? The more lines you put down, the darker it looks and the more value it has. And to get more lines down, you got to put them closer and closer together. At any point, if you feel like you've got a grasp of what's going on and you just want to jump ahead in the video, you don't have to watch all these little things. In fact, as we go down, I'll just kind of speed up. Okay, there is always a danger that you're going to make it look sloppy, so try to be as careful as you can to not make things sloppy like I'm doing on this one. Once we get to the end here, you can just go at it, go crazy, fill in this thing to make it as dark as you can. I'm not really a stickler on staying within the lines, but do your best to stay within the lines, okay? I'm not going to penalize you if you go outside of the lines. Just try to keep it neat. Okay, then we get to scribbles. Probably the easiest one on here. You just do a little bit more scribbling as you go from left to right to make it darker and darker. You can see how the different lines, the different methods, create a different feel. If you wanted a shade and you're drawing a face and you do scribbles, it's going to give it a different look than if you do hatching or cross hatching. So those are important things to consider. Okay, then we got zigzags. Same thing as hatching. More lines you put down, darker it gets. Then we've got circles. The bigger the circles, the more white is going to show through and the lighter it's going to look. So as you go from left to right, just make your circles a little bit smaller in each step. Oops. All the way over until you get down to tiny little circles on the black. Then this last one right here, you're going to look up here and combine any of these two to create your own value scale. Okay, don't combine hatching and cross hatching because I mean they're pretty much the same thing. But combine any of these other two to create your own method of shading with pen. When you are done, take a picture, submit it on Canvas for grading.